Then what?
110?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Pete.
112.
What's 3 plus 2?
5.
Good. Welcome back to Rainy Blanco Lirio World Headquarters here at the 3,200 foot elevation, just 30 nautical miles southeast of Oroville Dam. It's time for an Oroville storm update, and if Pete's done his math right, we've got about 5.5 inches of rain out of this storm in this rain gauge so far for both the Friday and Saturday portions of this storm. This storm is at the most critical point, hitting at the most critical point at Oroville right now as the reservoir is nearly full and construction is still underway. Let's take a look at the real-time Oroville numbers and see how things stack up. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, the viewers of the Blanco Lirio channel, for all your great comments, contributions, and well-informed questions about the situation at Oroville. And I also want to cover a couple of points I missed on the previous video that you guys were asking about. So the main part of the atmospheric river, Pineapple Express, has gone through Northern California, and the long-range forecast looks like another chance of showers maybe on Tuesday or so of this week. As we get later into the season here, the chances of these really wet atmospheric river events greatly diminish. And we're just a couple of weeks away from the beginning of construction here in May to get this project going. We're going to be returning to the hot and dry summer very soon here at Oroville. So let's take a look at the real-time numbers and see how this is stacking up. As of Saturday morning, the 7th of April, we can see the reservoir elevation in feet at 795.11 feet. So that's a rise of about 3 feet since this storm has started. The next column is storage in acre feet. The next column is outflows, 12,573 CFS as of 7 a.m. That represents the Hyatt power plant operating at full tilt, all 5 turbines running without the assistance of the river valve outlet system. Now look at the inflows. As of 7 a.m. this morning, we've got 52,122 cubic feet per second entering into Oroville, some of the highest inflows I think we've seen all year here at Oroville. And note how this data lags. Look back earlier last night, we only had 26,000 CFS. And as this is lagging data, as that water is just now really beginning to enter Oroville Reservoir after the rain has stopped. So this lag represents the amount of time it takes for this water to work its way through the watershed and enter Oroville. The next column, river release, represents the total amount of water being released into the Feather River, which includes the water out of the Thermalito forebay and afterbay system. Next column is rain, the amount of rain that's fallen right here where the sensor is located at the Oroville complex. 28.12 represents about 4 inches of rain at Oroville since this storm series began. Here's the rain totals for the season before this storm, 24.06. And the final column showing battery voltages. This is a solar-powered, battery-operated sensor. And then look at the reservoir levels on this slide. Back on the 6th is when they got the reservoir level down to about 792.5 feet before the storm. So a total rise so far of only just 3 feet of elevation at Oroville. So at 795 feet as of this morning, that gives operators 35 feet of flood control space before they even got to consider opening the gates on the main spillway at Oroville, which should be a great relief to the folks immediately downstream. It doesn't look like they're going to be opening the main spillway gates anytime soon at Oroville. Now back to the issue of water leaking out of the temporary RCC portion of the main spillway. The question is, where's that water coming from? Well, remember, as I said on the previous video, the RCC section is a temporary section that has no drains in it yet. That those drains will be installed later on this year when they complete that section with structural concrete. What's the source of the water? Well, you got a couple of different sources. First off, you got groundwater welling up underneath the spillway. You also have rainwater draining down into the sides of the RCC spillway, and that water can migrate through the RCC walls and up underneath the spillway. And the third source is the upper 750 feet or so of spillway is still that old cracked spillway, and that's allowing a certain amount of water to work its way underneath there. And this emphasizes the underlying importance of having a properly drained spillway to begin with. Remember, it was the water underneath the spillway that caused the old original thin spillway to fail in the first place. So starting here in a couple of weeks, when they get back to phase 2 of the construction of Oroville Spillway, on that center RCC section, they're going to bring those RCC walls all the way down, hopefully reuse some of that RCC material and put it in the emergency spillway. Then they're going to mill down the surface of the RCC spillway to get a nice, even, flat surface to work with for the structural concrete. Then they'll trench in those drains, plumb them up, and then, well, they'll trench in the drains, and then they'll start placing the structural concrete base and the structural concrete walls, and then plumb up the drains to match the rest of the spillway. So keep an eye on those inflow numbers. I'll provide you the link so you can keep an eye on that yourself. I got to go to work. See you here.